It was a Tuesday afternoon in Sioux Falls when my life, at 32, seemed to crumble in front of me. One moment I was cooking dinner. The next, the kitchen erupted in sparks from faulty stove wiring. At least that's what they later told me, before flames tore through our apartment. I grabbed my kids, 7 and 4, their small hands gripping mine as we stumbled into the parking lot. My heart hammered in my chest, but we were safe. Barely. With nothing except the clothes on our backs, I pulled out my phone and texted our family group chat. The kids and I are safe, but we have nowhere to go. I waited, staring at the screen, expecting it to light up with replies. But nothing came. Only silence. An hour later, a post from my sister appeared on my feed. A backyard barbecue. Everyone smiling under string lights, the caption reading, "Family only." My parents were there, laughing, clinking glasses with one of her friends. My stomach twisted. They saw my message. They chose not to care. And weeks later, when they finally reached out, it wasn't to check on us. It was to demand something. Something big. I stared at their texts, my kids' faces filling my mind, and typed back, only accepting calls from people I know. Have you ever felt abandoned by the people you trusted most? Tell me in the comments. I'm here to listen. 3 days later, we were squeezed onto Martha's pull-out couch. The springs dug into my back, but I hardly noticed. My thoughts were elsewhere. Charlotte and Owen were curled against me, their small bodies warm in the cramped space. Martha, my best friend since college, had welcomed us into her tiny Sioux Falls apartment without hesitation. Her couch was our lifeline, but it still wasn't home. I kept my phone close, hoping the family group chat would finally show something. Anything. But nothing came. Not a single word since I'd told them we were safe, but homeless. I refreshed the app repeatedly, convinced maybe I'd missed a notification. Still silence. Charlotte stirred, her small voice barely above a whisper. "Mommy, is this our new home?" The question cut straight through me. I forced a smile, running my fingers through her hair. "No, sweetie. Just for now. We'll find a place soon." Owen, only 4, clutched his stuffed dinosaur, blissfully unaware of the weight her words carried. I couldn't bring myself to tell them the truth, that we had nowhere else to go, that their grandparents and aunt had turned their backs on us. My mind drifted to everything I'd done for my family over the years. When my sister needed help with college, I worked overtime at my retail job to cover her tuition, $6,000 over 2 years. When her car broke down, I didn't hesitate to pay the $2,000 repair bill. I did those things because that's what family is supposed to do. Or so I believed. Now, seeing them laugh in that photo, I felt foolish. They hadn't even checked on us. No call. No text. Nothing. I scrolled through the comments under the post. Looks like a blast. Love the shirts. My sister's friend even tagged my mom, talking about how tight-knit they all were. Tight-knit. I wanted to scream. Where were they when my kids were sleeping on a borrowed couch? Where were they when everything we owned, clothes, toys, memories, went up in flames? I slammed my phone down, my hands shaking. Martha glanced at me from the kitchen, her eyes soft with concern. "You okay, Pat?" she asked, setting a mug of coffee beside me. I shook my head. "They're out there partying while we're here." "Partying?" She sat beside me and rested her hand on my shoulder. "You don't deserve this." I nodded, though anger still burned deep in my chest. My kids deserved better. Charlotte deserved a real bed, not a lumpy couch. Owen deserved to feel safe, not to cling to a toy for comfort. Looking at their sleeping faces, a knot rose in my throat. I had given everything to my family, money, time, trust, and they left us in the ashes. That night, I couldn't sleep. The barbecue photo replayed in my mind, those matching shirts, that caption. "Family only." The words taunted me. I thought of every sacrifice I'd made, every late shift I'd worked to bail them out. I had helped build my sister's life while mine was falling apart. And now, when I needed them the most, they were celebrating their perfect world without us. I picked up my phone once more, staring at the group chat. Still nothing. The betrayal settled into my bones, cold and heavy. I wasn't just angry. I was done. Done hoping they cared. Done believing they'd ever change. My kids were my family now, and I'd fight for them no matter what came next. 2 weeks in, my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. I was on Martha's couch watching Charlotte color a unicorn at the coffee table, Owen napping beside her with his dinosaur tucked under his chin. For a moment, I let myself hope she was checking on us. I opened the message. Patricia, we need $4,000 for something important. Can you send it by Friday? No mention of the fire. No concern for her grandchildren. Just a cold demand that hit like a slap. I stared at the words, my fingers frozen. Charlotte looked up at me, her 7-year-old smile bright. Mommy, can we get a dog when we have a house again? She asked, holding up her crayon. I forced a smile, though my chest ached. Maybe, sweetie. But Mom's text gnawed at me. $4,000. For what? After 2 weeks of silence, that was all they had to say. That night, my phone rang. Dad's name lit up the screen. I hesitated, my thumb hovering, then finally picked up. Patricia, he said, his voice gruff, almost impatient. We need that money. It's for the family. You know we've always stuck together. I gripped the phone tighter. My jaw clenched. What's it for, Dad? I asked, forcing my voice to stay steady. He sighed, irritated, then muttered. It's important, okay? You've helped us before. Don't back out now. Not one word about Charlotte or Owen. Nothing about our burned apartment, our nights on a borrowed couch. Just guilt, as if I owed them something. I ended the call without responding, my hands trembling. I sank back against the cushions, staring at the ceiling as anger simmered in my chest. Martha, stirring soup in the kitchen, looked over. Everything okay? She asked, worry creasing her brow. I held up my mom's text. She read it slowly, her lips pressing into a thin, disbelieving line. They didn't even ask about you guys, she said, shaking her head. I nodded, too furious to speak. My children were sleeping in a cramped corner of her living room, and all my family cared about was my wallet. The next morning, I got a call from Lisa, an old coworker from my retail days. She mentioned hearing rumors about my dad's hardware store in Sioux Falls struggling. Word is Raymond's got some bad loans piling up, she said casually, unaware of how heavy her words hit. I froze, everything clicking into place. That was their important thing. They wanted me to hand over $4,000 to rescue a failing business while my kids had no home. The nerve sent my pulse racing. I thought back to all the times I'd bailed them out. $6,000 for my sister's college tuition, earned through double shifts and missed weekends. $2,000 for her car repairs, handed over without hesitation. And last year, when Mom and Dad fell behind on rent, I'd sent $3,000 for my savings. I'd done it because I believed family came first. But now I saw the truth. They only reached out when they needed money. To them, my kids and I were nothing more than a resource to drain. Charlotte climbed onto the couch, holding up her unicorn drawing. Mommy, it's for you, she said, her eyes glowing with pride. I pulled her close, her warmth steadying my shaking heart. Owen mumbled in his sleep nearby, his dinosaur slipping from his hand. I picked it up gently and tucked it beside him. My kids were my everything, and I would shield them from this betrayal. Mom's text, Dad's call, their empty talk of family. All of it hollow. I was done being their ATM. I glanced at my phone, Mom's message still glowing on the screen. I didn't respond. Instead, I powered the phone off and set it aside. I kissed Charlotte's forehead, pointing at her drawing. It's amazing, sweetie, I whispered, and her smile softened the storm inside me. I wasn't just angry, I was resolute. My kids deserved a mother who put them first, not relatives who only showed up to take. I would build a future for us, no matter what it cost. By week 3, I was buried in paperwork for emergency housing. My days blurred together. Retail shifts and long hours at the Sioux Falls Public Library, my laptop wobbling on an unsteady table. Charlotte and Owen tagged along, coloring quietly in the kids section while I wrestled with endless applications. My boss had cut my hours, claiming the store was overstaffed, leaving me scraping by on less than 30 hours a week. Every rejection letter from the housing office felt like another door slamming in my face. Still, I kept my head down, determined to find a home for my children. But the weight of everything made breathing feel hard. One morning, Martha burst into her apartment, her face pale. "Pat, you need to see this," she insisted, thrusting her phone at me. It was a local Sioux Falls parenting group on social media. And there, under an anonymous profile, was a post from my sister's friend, Evelyn. Single mom, recently homeless, neglecting her kids. It read, dripping with judgment. The details were vague yet unmistakable. 2 kids, ages 7 and 4, apartment fire. It pointed straight at me. My stomach dropped. Comments piled up fast. Strangers calling me irresponsible, unfit, careless. Evelyn had twisted my life into a spectacle, and people were eating it alive. I gripped Martha's phone, my hands trembling. How could she do this? That afternoon, a letter arrived for me at Martha's apartment, addressed in Mom's neat handwriting. My heart hammered as I tore it open. "Patricia," it began, "your instability is concerning. We're worried about the children's safety and are prepared to contact Child Protective Services if you can't prove you're a fit parent." My breath hitched. My own mother was threatening to take Charlotte and Owen away. I read the letter twice, the words blurring through hot tears. She accused me of being unstable, citing my failure to secure housing and Evelyn's lies as evidence. I slammed the letter onto the table, my chest heaving. My children were my world. How dare she question my ability to care for them? I paced Martha's living room as Charlotte and Owen played nearby, blissfully unaware of the storm gathering around us. I couldn't let this continue. I wouldn't let them touch my kids. That night, after tucking the kids into bed, I opened my laptop and found a Reddit forum for single moms. My fingers flew over the keyboard as I poured my story into an anonymous post. My family abandoning me after the fire, partying while I struggled, and now threatening to destroy my life. I didn't name my mom, dad, or sister, but every word burned with the truth. Their betrayal, their selfishness, their cruelty. I hit post, then snapped the laptop shut, my heart pounding. It felt like a release, like I'd finally screamed after weeks of swallowing silence. The next day, I called Alice Cooper, a lawyer recommended by a coworker. I had never needed legal help before, but Mom's threat changed everything. I met Alice at her small downtown office, papers stacked in uneven piles across her desk. "I need to protect my kids," I told her, handing over Mom's letter. Alice read it carefully, her brow tightening. "This is serious," she said, her voice calm but firm. "Threatening CPS without evidence is intimidation. We can start building a case to counter this. Document everything." I nodded, relief mixing with fear. I pulled out my phone and showed her screenshots of Evelyn's post and the comments beneath it. Alice jotted notes quickly, her pen moving with purpose. "We'll draft a cease and desist letter," she said. "It's the first step to stop their harassment." Back at Martha's, I sat with Charlotte, helping her piece together a puzzle. "Mommy, why do you look sad?" she asked softly, her tiny hand resting on mine. I forced a smile, my throat tightening. "Just tired, sweetie," I whispered, kissing her forehead. Owen toddled over with his dinosaur held high. "Roar," he giggled, and I pulled him into a hug, their warmth grounding me. Mom's letter. Evelyn's lies. They weren't just insults, they were attacks on my family. But I wasn't helpless. I'd fight back, not with rage, but with action. Alice's words echoed in my mind. Document everything. So I did. Every text, every post, every piece of evidence. My kids deserved a safe, steady life, and no one, not Mom, not Evelyn, was going to take that from us. Later, I glanced at my laptop. My Reddit post was still open, a handful of upvotes and comments from other moms offering support. It wasn't much, but it reminded me I wasn't alone. I closed the screen, my resolve tightening. Mom thought she could scare me into submission, but she was wrong. I wasn't the daughter she could bully anymore. I was a mother fighting for Charlotte and Owen, and I would do whatever it took to keep them safe. One morning, Martha handed me her phone with a worried expression. I was helping Charlotte with her math homework at the kitchen table, Owen coloring beside us. On the screen was an email from Charlotte's school addressed to me. My stomach dropped as I read, "We received a call from a woman claiming to be your mother requesting information about your daughter's attendance and well-being. As per policy, we did not disclose any details." Mom had gone behind my back, calling Charlotte's school to dig into our lives. I set the phone down, my hands shaking. She wasn't just threatening CPS. She was acting on it. I called the school immediately. The secretary confirmed Mom had pushed for details about Charlotte's grades and behavior, claiming she was concerned about my parenting. They shut her down due to privacy laws, but the violations still burned. I thanked the secretary and hung up, my thoughts racing. Mom thought she could meddle in my children's lives after ignoring us for weeks. I looked over at Charlotte, chewing her pencil, unaware that someone was trying to undermine her home. I wouldn't let Mom's tactics touch her. Later that day, needing a distraction, I checked my Reddit account. My anonymous post from the week before had exploded. Hundreds of upvotes, dozens of comments from single moms sharing their own stories of betrayal. "You're not alone," one wrote. "Your family doesn't deserve you," said another. Someone had shared the thread on a larger parenting forum, and it was spreading fast. My story, about a family who partied while I struggled, was striking a nerve, and strangers were rallying behind me. I stared at the screen, a mix of pride and dread swirling in my chest. I hadn't named Mom, Dad, or my sister, but the truth was out there, gaining traction. By evening, my phone buzzed with a text from my sister. "What did you do?" she demanded, panic dripping from every word. "People are talking about your stupid post, and it's ruining my reputation at work." Sylvia worked as a marketing consultant, and her company lived and breathed public image. Apparently, coworkers had read the post and connected the dots. I didn't reply. My jaw tightened. Sylvia hadn't cared when we were homeless, but now she was panicking about her job? The irony made my blood boil. I called Alice and told her about Mom's call to the school. "That's escalation," Alice said sharply. "It's another attempt to control you." The next day, I met her at her office, bringing every piece of evidence I had. Mom's text demanding $4,000. Dad's follow-up phone call. The letter threatening CPS. Screenshots of the barbecue photo with the family-only shirts. And now the email from the school. Alice spread everything across her desk, her eyes narrowing. "We can file for a no-contact order," she said. "This shows a clear pattern of harassment, demanding money, spreading rumors, contacting the school. It's enough to start." I handed her my phone, showing the Reddit post's sudden traction. "This might come up," I admitted, my voice unsteady. Alice scanned the screen, her expression neutral. "It's anonymous and you didn't name them," she said. "Legally, you're fine. But it's stirring things up. Be prepared for pushback." I nodded, my stomach twisting. The post was my truth, but I hadn't expected it to spread like wildfire. Still, I didn't regret sharing it. It was the only way I could fight back without falling apart. Back at Martha's, I sat with Owen, helping him stack blocks. "Look, Mommy." "A tower," he said, his 4-year-old grin lighting up the room. I ruffled his hair, forcing a smile as warmth rose in my throat. Charlotte joined us, dragging her unicorn plush. "Can we play school?" she asked. I nodded, my heart heavy but warm. Their joy kept me grounded even as Mom's actions and Sylvia's panic churned in the background. I wasn't just fighting for myself, I was fighting for them. Later, Alice called to confirm the no-contact order was drafted. "We're citing harassment and unauthorized contact with the school," she explained. "You'll need to sign the paperwork tomorrow." I agreed, relief mixing with resolve. I saved the school's email and Sylvia's text, adding them to my evidence folder. Every move Mom made, every word Sylvia sent, was another nail in their own coffin. They thought they could intimidate me, but I was building a wall to protect my kids. That night, as I tucked Charlotte and Owen into bed, I watched their peaceful faces. The Reddit post was still gaining comments, voices of support flooding in. It wasn't just about me anymore, it was about refusing to be treated as disposable. I kissed the kids goodnight, my determination solidifying. Mom and Sylvia could push all they wanted, but I was ready to push back harder. A month after the fire, a certified letter arrived from a lawyer. The envelope bore a So Falls law firm's logo, and my stomach twisted as I opened it. The letter claimed I had defamed my family through my Reddit post, now viral with thousands of shares. Mom, Dad, and Sylvia were suing me for libel, demanding I retract the post and pay damages. My hands shook as I read their accusations, calling my truth malicious lies. They had twisted my words to make themselves the victims. I called Alice immediately, my voice tight. "They're suing me," I said, handing her the letter at her office later that day. Alice scanned it, her lips pursed. "This is weak," she said, tossing it onto her desk. "They have no proof you named them. Your post was anonymous. We'll countersue you for harassment and unlawful interference." She leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "We use their own actions against them. The money demands, the CPS threat, the school call." I nodded, fear draining into resolve. I wasn't backing down. Alice and I filed a countersuit the next day, citing harassment for Mom's texts and letter, Dad's call, and their attempt to pry into Charlotte's school records. I handed over every piece of evidence. Screenshots of the family-only barbecue post, Mom's demand for $4,000, her CPS threat, and the school's email. Alice added Sylvia's text about her reputation, calling it proof of their motive to silence me. "This shows a pattern," she said, her pen flying across her notes. "They're trying to intimidate you, but they've overplayed their hand." I found an old bank statement buried in my email, proof that I'd paid off $1,500 of Sylvia's credit card debt 3 years ago. I'd done it to help her avoid collections, no questions asked. Now, I forwarded her a scanned copy with one line, "You owe me," not the other way around. Sylvia didn't reply, but I knew she'd seen it. Her silence felt like a small victory, a crack in her polished facade. I imagined her squirming, her perfect image tarnished by the truth spreading online. Weeks later, we faced their lawyer in a So Falls courthouse. Mom, Dad, and Sylvia sat across from me, their faces hard. Their attorney argued that my Reddit post had irreparably damaged their reputation, but Alice dismantled their case. "My client never named the plaintiffs," she said, voice sharp. "The post is anonymous, and their own actions, documented here, match the described behavior." She presented our evidence, each piece landing like a hammer. The barbecue photo, the money demands, the CPS letter. Their lawyer fumbled, unable to prove I'd identified them. The judge dismissed the case for lack of evidence, his gavel echoing through the quiet room. I walked out of the courthouse with shaky legs but a lighter heart. Alice squeezed my shoulder. "They've got nothing left," she said. "The no-contact order is holding, and your countersuit is moving forward." I thanked her, my voice catching. For the first time in weeks, I felt in control. Mom and Dad's betrayal, Sylvia's panic. They tried to break me, but their lies had crumbled instead. Back at Martha's, I sat with Charlotte and Owen, watching them build a block tower. "Higher, Mommy," Owen giggled, stacking a red block. Charlotte added a blue one, her grin bright. Their laughter filled the room, reminding me why I kept fighting. I had given my family everything, money, trust, loyalty, and they'd thrown it back in my face. Now I was done. No more texts. No more letters. No more chances. I blocked Mom, Dad, and Sylvia's numbers, my fingers steady as I hit confirm. They weren't my family anymore. Charlotte and Owen were. That night, I checked Reddit one last time. My post had faded from the spotlight, but the support lingered, comments from strangers who'd survived their own betrayals. I didn't need their validation anymore. I'd stood up to my family, faced their lawsuit, and won. I closed my laptop, a quiet strength settling in my chest. My kids deserved a mother who fought for them, and I'd proven I could. Whatever came next, I was ready to face it, free from the weight of their lies. 2 weeks later, their lawsuit collapsed without a sound. For years, I'd been sending Mom and Dad $300 a month to help with their mortgage, a promise I'd kept even when money was tight. No more. I canceled the automatic transfer, my heart pounding with defiance. That money wasn't theirs to claim. It belonged to my kids' future.